And I was safe if I was perfect, if I was getting A's, if I did my homework, and so that could be it, is you feel like it's not really earning rest, but maybe like earning love or earning safety. Like I have to feel safe in order to feel like I can rest.
Today's guest is Amber Banda, an on-air personality at El Paso's 96.3 KH Country, a sought-after MC, producer, mother, and child advocate. Amber's voice is one many in El Paso recognize, but her story goes far beyond the microphone. She's navigating creativity in public spaces, advocating for children behind the scenes, and doing the deeply personal work of healing while still showing up for others. In this conversation, we talk about what it means to create while recovering, to lead while healing, and to hold joy and responsibility at the same time. Amber opens up about burnout, imposter syndrome, body image, motherhood, advocacy, and how reclaiming your voice can be both terrifying and transformative. I'm your host, Charvon Hales, and this is Light, Life, and Limitations, a podcast where creativity meets reality.
When the world feels out of frame, every thought, every fear, every revelation, I find my way through the quiet flame, lighting life in all the limitations.
Welcome, Amber.
Oh my God, I was like fangirling over myself after your intro. I'm going to have you write all my bios. I'm like, I guess I am.
Yes, you are all of those things. But welcome to the podcast. Just a brief overview of how I met Amber. We probably met, maybe a month ago, maybe a few weeks ago.
And it was for what, like an hour max?
Yeah, on Ashley's Talking About It homie check-in that she does every Tuesday at 6 p.m. So definitely, if you're listening or watching, make sure you check that out. The Talking About It podcast. But Amber and I were both on there, and the three of us just had a really great conversation over the course of an hour. And so I was like, oh, Amber, you got to come on the podcast. So
yeah, I mean, we knew each other, just like you said, we had just met. I call it e-meet, and we were already getting into some deep stuff. I really am an open book about my struggles in my life, and it's not for pity or anything like that. I don't know. I know there's people that, and it's okay if you don't want to open up or you feel guilty for whatever reason. But I think I lived the first half of my life kind of always feeling guilty for my feelings. And now as a mom, that changed a lot because now, can I cuss on this podcast?
yes, you can.
Now, okay. Oh, perfect. My favorite kind.
Mhm.
And so now I just, I don't give a shit. I'm like, I'm living, I'm making a lot of my choices now based more for my advocacy and for my daughters, and having kids just really taught me how to not give a shit. And again, Charvon, thank you first for having me on. And yes, I'm Amber Banda. Right now, I like you said, I am a radio personality with iHeart. I'm on 96.3 KH Country. I'm did not grow up listening to country music. I grew up listening to rock. And so, like I say, rock music saved me. Country music pays me. I have mad respect for both. I do child advocacy with a nonprofit group. I think we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm a mom of two. One is 20, one just turned 11. And I've been with my husband in total going on 18 years. I'm 40. I've lived in El Paso my whole life, minus a few months where I kind of was young and dumb. But any questions that you have, I'm just here to be able to hopefully give some people, I hate the word inspire. I mean, people tell me I'm inspirational. I don't know. I don't feel it yet. I don't think that imposter syndrome. I don't feel comfortable saying that yet, but if there's somewhere that
we don't have a choice as to whether or not we feel inspirational. If someone is inspired by us, then they're inspired, whether it was our intention or not. I'm learning that recently.
Yeah,
I had someone recently who
like
called me a
that.
mentor. I was like, I was a mentor? I thought we were just having a conversation.
You're like, oh no, no pressure. It kind of like puts a pressure on you to like not mess up, even though that's how you became an inspiration, is by messing up and getting over it.
Hey, exactly.
Right, learning.
You live life and learn, and then you teach others. So
yeah,
but let's talk about that.
perfect.
So let's get into, you just mentioned that you're a radio personality here in El Paso, and then you do like MC for live events and all that stuff. So how do you, in this season of your life, how does creativity play into your ambitions?
So I'm always purpose driven, like anything I do. So a lot of what I do on air is there's a couple of things I do with iHeart. I mainly started with the El Paso Public Forum. So that's the community program where I interview nonprofits. And of course, there's tremendous amount of purpose in that because you're interviewing nonprofits for child advocacy, for veterans, for animals, for kids with cancer, whatever the case is. So it's easy to be very okay, this is the focus of this interview is to let the audience know that this nonprofit is out there for them. But with being on air, my shift is Monday through Friday from 3 to 7 on a country music station. And I always have to be purpose driven. So and then I'll explain where the creativity comes in. So it's like, okay, my purpose really, because I don't have a morning show, it's kind of in between the songs, is to put people in relieve some stress, right? Usually that's when people are driving home from
Oh, yeah.
work. They've maybe had a bad day or whatever. So my purpose is to provide kind of like some comic relief. I mean, I was a class clown when I was little, and just I don't like to talk politics because I don't really know about it. And, I don't want people to go down that way. Sometimes if it's very relevant, we will talk about it. Like, I don't want to ignore things either. But I just try to keep it light. So I like to get creative with the stories that I find to talk about on air. Again, I only have like a minute, maybe a minute and a half to talk in between songs about it. So I like to get creative and I like to keep it local. I like to give local shout outs to people from El Paso that are doing great things. I always like to relate it back to our city. And as far as creativity, I mean, I get to be a part of a lot of musical events or when I'm interviewing artists, especially when I first started interviewing country music artists, because I wasn't familiar with Sam Hunt or John Party or Scotty McCreer, where some people are like, oh my God, you got to talk to them. I'm like, so how do I find purpose in this interview? And the creative part of me is like, okay, well, what do I like and how can I combine it with country music? So I'll talk to country music artists. I'll be like, okay, I'm going to start the mosh pit at your concert, right? And joke around about that or talk about my love for Harry Potter with some of them. So I guess in a sense, my creativity with what it comes from what I like and blending it in and making sure also at the same time, it's something that the listening audience, my target audience is going to want to hear. But there is so much room for creativity in my job.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I did
Yeah.
I did radio very briefly when I was in college. I did television
Okay.
broadcasting all through high school, and then in college, I did radio for a little bit. It really wasn't my speed. It's a lot. It's a high pressure. For me, it felt like high pressure because you're live on the air, and I'm just like, I'm gonna say something and get in trouble. At least with this, I can edit this before it goes out to a wide
Well,
audience.
you may like radio now. It's since I've been in it, I've been with iHeart going on 3 years. There's a lot of stuff that's pre-recorded. Even if it's live, there's maybe a little bit of a delay.
Mm.
My community program is, it's pre-recorded. I have done live shows, don't get me wrong. And the first time my manager, Patty Diaz, very well-known radio personality here in El Paso, Texas. People know her mostly from Burnout 2.1. She was literally holding my hand because all I was going to say was like, up next we have Jason Aldean, right? That's all I was going to say. But like, just, I think what freaks me out more is the technology of it,
It's a
making
lot
sure I
of
press the
buttons.
right buttons. It is a lot of buttons, and I can barely text. So,
Yeah, that's the thing, like, the multitask, you're talking, and then you're trying to, like, push buttons, and it's a lot going on. Um
yes, and the social media component of it is something that I wasn't really expecting, but I mean, now in this day and age, people want to put a face to a voice. So that's something that I think is maybe the hardest part of my job to navigate through is trying to be authentic on my social media, but building what they call my brand, which
Mhm.
is me. Hmm.
So,
So.
with regard to that, doing radio being public facing, that type of work can be a demand on your energy. So, what are some of your early signs of burnout?
Some of my early fog, like, it seems to be happening a little bit more lately, but more like, so I'm able to say I'm in between songs and there's these things called liners where we have to talk about certain things on air, right?
Mhm.
Like, okay, we're giving away $1,000 with the 9K payday. Or the deadline to enter is March 2nd. And then I'll be like, the deadline to enter is May 2nd. And then I'll think about it. I'm like, wait a minute. And I'll go back and hear it and I'll retrack it. That's one sign. Another sign is me not wanting to do my activities outside of work. So I really love to dance and lift weights.
Mhm.
And when I see myself kind of not finding joy in that or not wanting to do it, I think that's also a sign of burnout for me.
Mhm.
I'm pretty good at scheduling in rest, whereas I wasn't before. I'm like, okay, I have a massive schedule this weekend. So I'm going to lay back on some of the things during the week, which is not always a easy thing to do.
Yeah.
My sleep will get like I'll have to take more melatonin. Like I try to go to bed without it, but if I find myself needing it, then that means that I'm probably having some burnout.
Mhm.
Um what else? Just being more tired than usual.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, how do you then give yourself permission to rest without guilt? Because you are a very busy person with a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah. How do I give myself permission to um I'm still working on it.
Mhm.
Like you alluded to a little bit earlier, I have a history of an eating disorder. It's more like disordered eating now. It's not as bad as it was before. So I feel I've had a constant need. I kid you not, Charvon, since like I haven't missed a workout since 2004.
Mhm.
I mean, even when I had a C-section, like the day before I was working out, which seems like a flex, but I mean, I was what I'm trying to get at is I think I have to work out, not only for my mental health, it's more of an addiction at this point, but to feel like I've earned the rest.
Mm.
Like a person's rest day or like my rest day looks like a person's workout, like a regular workout.
Mhm.
And so I'm kind of trying to kind of tone down on that. So it's not a healthy way for me to give myself permission to rest, but that's part of how I do it is by making sure I get in some kind of a workout. Um, I think forcing myself to watch TV is a way that I give myself permission to rest, and I try to be like, "Okay, I'm spending time with my family." Journaling, I've tried to journal a lot, and, like, there's some times where I'm writing, I don't like, I don't need to earn my rest. I don't need to earn my rest, like, because that is a thing for me, is just
Mhm.
not is feeling like I have to earn it. So that's something actually I'm still actively trying to
I
go
feel
through.
like that is a plague of the millennial generation. I feel like, and I don't know what this comes from. It could be just because we had, like, a lot of chores as kids or whatever, or, our parents would come home from work and be like, "Why are you resting? You should be cleaning the kitchen," or you know what I mean? So, because
Yeah.
I definitely have struggled with that where I felt like I had to earn rest, or when I am resting, and Ashley and I have talked about this before, when I'm resting, I feel like I should be doing something. It's like, well, I could be folding clothes right now. I could be, vacuuming the floor. I could be sweeping the floor. Like, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's okay to just sit here and watch TV. Like, you don't have to, even sometimes
Right?
I'm like, well, maybe I could check some emails while I'm watching TV, or I can crochet something. Like, I have to be doing
Yes.
another activity while watching TV. And it's like,
Yes.
yeah.
I think it is technology. I mean, you
Mhm.
think, technology affects only kids that way, but it's adults too. But I saw something on social media the other day, on social media and TV and all this, and it said, it was addressing this, and it said, "When you were younger, you earned affection. You got affection and recognition because you got A's, because you did your chores, because you
Mhm.
did this." And that could be it too. It's like, I was safe because I grew up in kind of a chaotic, abusive, in many ways, household, even though there
Mhm.
was love there. And I was safe if I was perfect, if I was getting
Sort of
A's, if I did
performing,
my
yeah.
homework, and so that could be it, is you feel like it's not really earning rest, but maybe like earning love or earning safety. Like I have to
Mm.
feel safe in order to feel like I can rest. And my
Yeah.
husband has provided that a lot for me. So yeah, I have to feel safe in order to feel like I can rest.
You just, like, opened up something, a portal for me with that statement. I'm like, "Wow, I think that might be it." It's that feeling of safety, and that's the thing is, like, when I'm restless, like, when I feel like I should be doing something, it's because my nervous system is not doesn't
There's a
feel safe
fear.
in that moment, yeah, and so it's like, in that moment, then it's like, "Okay, well, maybe I need to identify what am I afraid of in this moment that I feel like
Right.
I need to be doing something." So, thank you for that.
Yes, you need to go down the route. Like when I used to do personal training, my clients would to get them to better succeed. I would have them ask them why. I want to lose weight. Why? Because I want to weigh this much. Why? And then you'd get into the deep. You're peeling back the layers, right? So that might help with the resting. I mean, again, I'm still working on it. We'll do it together. So
Okay, can you give me one moment? I'm sorry. I
yeah,
thought my
yeah.
cat was
No.
outside the office and she was sleeping under the futon. She just jumped on my lap right now.
Oh,
So
oh my God.
she came
Let her
creeping
come
out.
on
I
the
was just like,
podcast.
what are you doing? Say hi to Amber.
Hi. Psst, 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 psst.
Okay, but she'll try to
There's a
climb on
bumper.
everything if I don't put her out.
Uh,
I was wondering where she was at. I hadn't seen her for a few hours. I thought she was sleeping in her little house, but she was apparently
she's
hiding
like
in
a
my office.
child. They come out like you're like trying to talk to them all day, and then they want to talk at the worst time.
Yeah.
That's
So,
funny.
um, as far as your advocacy work, can you talk a little bit
Mm.
about what you do with that? Because I really love the background when you told me a little bit about what you were doing.
So I had an abusive childhood, and I hate saying that because, like, again, I mean, my mom was a single mom. We lived with my grandparents. My mom loved me, but she was undiagnosed bipolar. She didn't get diagnosed till I was an adult, and there was some sexual abuse when I was little from some family members. My grandma was extremely emotionally, verbally abusive, and so growing up, now as an adult and having daughters, again, my daughters just changed the way I viewed the world, and I know that sounds cliche, but they really did. I didn't think anything could change my mind from like, I'd never wanted to take care of myself. I didn't know if my life ended. And then when they came, I was like, oh shit, I need to live. I need to, like, no one's going to be a better mom to them than me. So when I had my second daughter back in 2015, I had a ton of postpartum anxiety. Not really depression. I wasn't sad, but I was just like always anxious. And I would see these videos on social media that would just pop up no matter how much I tried to change my algorithm of like abuse or this in the news. And I just couldn't sleep. And then I read a quote that said, complaining without action is called whining. And I've never been a whiner. I've never tried to play the victim. So I was like, well, what do I do? The only nonprofit agency I knew of at the time that protected kids was CPS. So I called them. I just said, hey, I want to help kids. Can you point me in the right direction? They pointed me to this organization called Community Partners of El Paso. I'm still a part of their board today. We actually have an event coming up in April. But from there, I would just go to these different events and I would always run into different organizations. But one that always stood out was this group of bikers called Guardians of the Children. Now, I didn't grow up around motorcycles. I've never been around a biker. And so I approached this guy. His name was Tools, the first biker I had ever officially met. And I pissed him off on accident because I was like, I want to know more about Guardians of the Galaxy because that movie was out.
Oh my goodness.
And he got so I could tell I made him so mad. I was like, I'm sorry. I'd like, maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was just me, my just being afraid. So that at that event, I that was the first time that I came out about my abuse to just not just the people that were close to me, one or two people, but to the public. And I gave a speech and I had people come up to me and opening up to me. And I didn't know what to do with this. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, and so the guardians came up and they said, hey, we only do this for our little guardians. I'll explain what that is in a little bit, but here's a teardrop necklace. It signifies the tears of all the kids that have been abused. And I was like, this is awesome. So we went to more events. I went to more events just doing advocacy because, again, that quote, like, it kept sticking in my head. Like, I cannot not do anything. And they finally invited me to a meeting. So I went to this meeting and I'm like, why are all these bikers in leather? Like it's so hot. But it's a thing you learn once you're in the biker community.
Oh.
And so you don't have to have a motorcycle to join, but in order to be a POC, which is like a point of contact for the kids that they ceremoniously adopt. Okay, it's not officially adopt, but they bring them into their biker family. You have to be a patched member. So have you ever seen a biker with a dark vest on? They got that big patch in the back.
Uh-huh.
They are part of a club. We're not a club, we're a nonprofit, but that's what it means to be a patched member. So I did the training, how to dress in court, how to talk to the kids, what we're all about, our mission, how to talk to the biker community. Because there's that whole biker culture grow. Like we could do a whole podcast on that alone, especially being a female biker in a male dominated area. And so I bought a motorcycle to be a part of Guardians of Children.
Wow.
Never rode one in my life. I dropped 3 of the motorcycles that I was on in the class. I got the lowest score, but I passed. The second time when I test drove an Indian motorcycle, I dropped it, but I picked it right back up. The bike was fine. And when I finally got my bike and it was delivered home, I took it for a spin. The Guardians came and they were like riding around me. tumbled off my motorcycle. They're like, get back on now, or you're not going to get on again. I was like, oh my God, okay. I must really love these kids that I've never met before, because motorcycles still scare me and I ride it. And so what we do as part of Guardians of the Children is, when a child has to testify in court, we are, we're kind of referred by schools, by counselors, by families. They contact us. We meet with the families. If the child wants to be a part of our family, and of course, if the parent allows the child to be a part of our biker family, we have a little ritual where we meet them. They're assigned two POCs, 2 point of contacts. And then we just kind of get to know them, because one of our main functions is to be with them in the courtroom when they have to testify, because what a lot of people don't know, at least here in Texas, is friends and family cannot be in the courtroom. So you have a 7-year-old testifying against a grown-ass man and no
Wow.
one in the courtroom with them. That could be the case. So we're trying to build that relationship with them as well, not just in the court, but that way they're not in there with another stranger. And I just remember my first unofficial court. I wasn't a patch member yet, but it was a little girl. I want to say she was like 7, and her brother. And they were going into the courtroom, and she was scared, obviously, right? I mean, it's scary. And she was like, it's because I'm not brave. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like, I'm scared. And I was like, Mama, look, let me give you a little story. Superman, when he goes into a burning building, he knows he's not going to get hurt. It's great what he does, right? But he knows if he goes in to save the people in the burning building, he's going to be fine. But the fireman that goes into the burning building, he doesn't know if he's going to come back out, right? And he's scared, but that makes him brave, because he does it anyway, because he
Mm.
knows that's the right thing to do. He doesn't know what's going to happen. And I said, Mama, being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do it anyway because you know it's the right thing to do, and we're here with you. And so, they say, don't let your pain go to waste. And I feel like, as shitty as a thing happened to me when I was little, like, it happened for a reason, even though
Mm.
I would never want it to happen to my girls. And I, I I read something again online. It says, you become the person you needed when you were younger.
Yeah, I've seen that quote as well.
And yeah. And so I bought a motorcycle and I became a biker so I can help kids with Guardians of the Children, even though I do other advocacy work too. Thank you. And it's very rewarding. And Guardians have also helped me to be a kid. I didn't get to be a kid when I was
Yeah.
young. So now as an adult, I have the safety because of my husband. I have I still have a lot of work to do with my mental health, but because of the work I've done with Guardians, I feel like I am in a much better place, with my mental health. And it's kind of like, have you seen the movie Step Brothers?
Yes.
Yes. Have you seen it when they have the goggles and they're like, oh, I wish we had these when we were kids. I'm like, even better, we have them when we're 40. Because, I mean, I love Harry Potter, right? I love like
Yeah.
kid things. And I think it's because now I can enjoy what I wasn't able to enjoy when I was younger, because I was just
Yes.
trying to survive, trying to be small and fly under the radar. So yeah, and it's opened up. I really truly believe that being a part of Guardians of the Children and being a part of the biker community helped me to be where I am today. Not just meant with my mental health and as a mom, but on the radio.
Mhm.
They pushed me to be community engagement. I'm like, okay. So yeah.
And I can tell, like, just listening to you talk about it, you're so very passionate about it. If anyone wanted more information about, Guardians of the Children or how to get involved, how would they go about doing that?
We're actually working on a website right now.
Mhm.
If you are not in El Paso, you can go to guardiansofthechildren.com and you can find a chapter that's near you, because we're all over America and Canada.
Ooh,
Here in
nice.
El Paso, the best way, I mean, you can probably provide my contact information, my
Mhm.
social media, they can message me, or you can find Guardians of the Children Sun City chapter. That's the local El Paso chapter, and message them. Again, you don't have to own a motorcycle. You can be what we call supporters, where we're all background checked.
Mhm.
We're all volunteers of all different walks of life. I mean, we have doctors, we have lawyers, we have business owners, we have radio personalities, and you can go to our public meetings. They're the second Friday of each month at 7 p.m. Just message us on the location, because it changes, and you can go ask questions and find out and see how you can help. And I mean, yeah, we would love to have more people in the community join.
Yeah, that's
So.
awesome. So you said that, they kind of pushed you to be kind of like the spokesperson and to do radio and to become basically more visible, right? This is something that I've worked over the past year is healing my visibility wound, right? So it's like
What do you
I was
mean?
very visible in high school. Like I said, I did broadcast journalism when I was in high school.
Mm.
And like, was like the MC for like certain events and stuff like that. And then at some point in my 20s, I started shrinking. And I started getting very self-conscious about being in front of a camera. And I think that's a large part of why I picked up a camera and became a photographer because I had a reason to not be in front of the camera. And then so I feel like over the past year, well, not even over, I would say over the past 6 months. So I had surgery in August, this past summer, and while I was healing, I was making TikToks because I couldn't get out the bed, so I was bored. So I
Mm.
started just making random TikToks, and I literally didn't care what I looked like when I was making the TikToks, and like everything that I was self conscious about didn't matter. Like, I was always like, "Oh, somebody people are gonna bully me and this and that and this," and none of what I thought was gonna happen happened. And so
Mm.
then I was just that is what led to me then starting this because I'm like, "Well, I'm not awkward. I don't feel awkward about being on camera anymore. So let me go ahead and start
Yeah.
my podcast." So all of that
So
to
what
say, like I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you, why do you think at 20 or that age you've started shrinking?
I don't know. This is something I probably have to go talk to a therapist about to go unpack it
Like
because I'm like, I don't know
like
what's
nothing's
happened. So maybe something must have happened in my 20s that I am like blocking
hmm.
out that was like a
Hmm.
trigger for me not wanting, you know what it might be? Because I feel like I didn't start doing that until after I graduated from college and got into corporate America.
Mhm.
And everything I was rewarded for in school, from kindergarten all the way through to senior year of college, everything I was rewarded for in school was frowned upon in the corporate space, right? You don't
Hmm.
wanna you're not supposed to be, um, too noticeable because then you make your peers feel small, or your people above you might feel like you're gunning for their job, or and I think
Intimidated.
that's what it was, and now it's all coming back to me now. I had a very abusive boss in my
Mm.
20s who was very, very insecure and was, like,
Male or female?
sabotaging me and all and I think and that was a very, very detrimental period for my mental health, the time that I was working there, and
Yeah.
I think that led to me having this visibility wound because it's like you in the corporate space, you can't be too visible because there's
Yeah.
competition and you might make other people feel a type of way, and that just I kept shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking
Mm.
and trying to like you were talking about earlier, you wanted to be as invisible and safe as possible, and
Yeah.
only
Hmm.
within, like, the past 2 years, I would say, post-divorce, I started to kinda get over that gradually, and I
Take up
think
space.
yeah, try to take up space again, and 'cause
Good.
as a teenager and in high school, I was visible everywhere. I was in every club, on every stage, like, everybody in the
Yeah.
school like,
Hmm.
to this day, like, I can be walking around in the supermarket back home in Philly, and somebody will see me who remembers me, and I have no idea who they are. They're like, "Yeah, 'cause you used to do the TV in school and stuff." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So
Oh,
but yeah, so okay, but this is about you.
that's good. What
Um,
it's
so
about well, I mean, yeah, that's just interesting. Well, I'm glad you're
yeah,
back at it.
but with speaking about visibility, so how do you handle, like, being more visible? And as your career progresses, um, how does that kind of, play into because you talked about you had, like, an eating disorder, right? Does
Mhm.
does do you still kind of feel a little bit of battle there with being a more visible personality now?
Yes, and I think also being 40, turning 40 this past in January kind of was more scary than I thought because I don't feel 40. So, it's the whole old lady trying to do young thing. I'm not an old lady, right? But
We're
I
not
'cause
old
that
ladies.
also
Mm-mm.
no, we're not, but I just have that because I like things that the Gen Z like, and I'm
Mhm.
I'm like, it's not that I'm trying to be young. I just like it. Like
Yeah.
I still have the energy and the zest for some of those things. And when it comes to my body image, definitely still working on that. I actually, full disclosure, maybe a few months ago started what I thought was a microdose of a GLP. And I was like, because I had what they termed food noise, which again, back in 2000, I graduated high school 2004. I missed the beginning of my senior year because I was hospitalized for anorexia nervosa of 6 months. I had the NG tube. I mean, trigger warning alert. I'm going to give some numbers. I think I was 88 pounds and 2 inches
Mm.
taller than I am now. I lost bone, so I shrunk a little bit, but I had a severe eating disorder back then. And then like, since then, I have tracked my food in one shape or another since 2004. That is what over, 20 over 20 years of tracking my calories somehow. So I was just tired of it. And ideally, I know the perfect way to heal, I guess, would be just don't track at all or don't do any, like just, and I tried and I tried and I tried and I kept coming back to, I kept getting anxiety not tracking. So I was like, oh, well, let me do this GLP, not necessarily to lose weight, but it's supposed to get rid of the food noise. So
Mm.
I tried it. I had no appetite. Well, no shit, I didn't have food noise because I wasn't hungry, like, I couldn't eat. So I did lose a lot of weight. I'm still on the GLP. I'm trying to eat more, and now I feel like my new addiction is the GLP. Now I got off the tracking. I have not tracked in a few weeks, which for me is huge, but I'm on the GLP. And again, like I said, full disclosure, I even started a body support group that I now let my sister-in-law take over just because the scheduling.
Mhm.
But I feel like when I make progress, I take some steps back, and maybe being in the spotlight. Well, I'm not going to say maybe. I'm probably in denial. It does kind of affect you because yeah, you're on social media, you're
Mhm.
on camera, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and I feel like maybe because I've lost the weight, like I'm not so what's the word, worried about the way I look now,
Mhm.
but if I were to I'm right now I'm on the GLP, so I don't know, and so it does affect me as far as, like, seeing myself on camera and the way I look and being more in pictures, but you know what took me even longer to get used to was the sound of my voice. Like, I would hear
Yes.
it on the radio.
Yes.
I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like, and it's so crazy that I'll go places and people are like, "I recognize that voice," and I'm like, "Really? Out of the thousands, millions of voices you've ever heard, you recognize my voice?" Which is pretty cool, don't get me wrong. But, like, when people, come up to me and they're like, "Hey, are you Amber?" It's a little different because 'cause I'm on the radio, right? Where there's not they do get more familiar with your voice, like, "Hey, are you
Mhm.
Amber Banda from the radio?" And I'm like, "Depends, like, are you a fan or a foe?" And so that takes some getting used to, but my mom, my husband, they're always like, "What I like about you is that," I even to this day, like, I mean, I'm not famous or anything like that, like, my family will say, "Oh, you're local celebrity, this and that." And I feel so cheesy saying it. Even my manager's like, "You are a public figure." So there are some things that I had to change in my behavior because I'm not mean, but my comedy is like a little maybe like not for everybody.
Mhm.
So I had to change some like social media posts and stuff like that, but I I'm so flattered when people tell me that. Like I'm just like you guys are the amazing ones. Like don't look up to me, like, don't look up to me, but I'll tell you hi.
So, I mean, so discussing, your history that you mentioned in high school and then some of the body image, um, I don't wanna say issues, but challenges that you have
Yeah.
now, what did your previous recovery teach you, about your compassion for yourself?
Compassion. Actually, I just went to one of the body support groups, and they were talking about self-love, and I
Mhm.
told them, "I don't think I'll ever get to the level where I'm loving myself for me," and I'm not saying that to sound, like, sad or anything. I'm saying that because I feel like I've tried a lot of things, and then they asked me, "What do you think is self-love?" And I'm like, that's a good question. Like, for me, I keep myself going and working on myself with my mental health, trying to eat properly and exercise and stay healthy and take my vitamins for my girls. And it's
Mhm.
like, if I didn't have my girls, I think I would be okay with not being here. And and in my head, I'm like, I don't feel like that's the voice of someone that loves themselves. And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I have my daughters, thank God. So I don't know but I do know before my first daughter was born, like I said, I have two. I was in a very self-destructive path where I was at. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know where I would have ended up. So as far as self-compassion, I know I'm it's a uplifting podcast, so I'm not trying to be, a downer or anything like that, but I do feel like my purpose has given me the room to feel compassion for myself because I'm
Mhm.
like, I know that I have helped people, even though that really wasn't my intention to be looked up to or be a mentor. But again, why I give a lot of credit to guardians is because my husband has been a huge part of my recovery and seeing things. Because when you grow up a certain way, you don't know things are wrong because that's all you've ever known.
Yeah.
So he pointed things out, and I'm like, that's wrong? Like, I didn't know that, And he's like, yeah. And he loves me, and I know he loves me, and I know he loves me because of the way he loves my daughters. And, going off on a tangent a little bit, I didn't have a dad growing up. The abuse that I endured was, the sexual abuse, whatever, was from men. So I had there was some other things that happened growing up that I had no reason to trust men. So when my husband came in
Mm.
and was a father to my daughters, um, I'm like, now I know what people mean.
Mm.
Now I know why people like, I can't believe I missed out on that. At first I was like, I don't have a dad, great. Like I don't want one. And then now he showed me what it really means to have one. And so, as far as like compassion, going back to guardians of the children, having these kids look up to me and him telling me, look, you can be an inspiration for our guardians because I think I'm a good guardian because a lot of what they've gone through, I went through. I had
Yeah.
to tell people and people didn't believe me. And I, had people call me a liar and I broke up the family. And so that helps me feel more compassionate about myself because like I need to be an example not only for my daughters, but for these little guardians. And I was on another podcast. It's a very well-known biker podcast. And he asked me, he's like, what about these little girls that see you on a motorcycle? And I'd never thought about it before. I'm like, you're right. Like
Yeah.
that's inadvertently, I'm in a position where there's going to be a lot of younger girls and females looking up to me. And so I think I have to have more compassion for myself to be an example
Mhm.
for them. hmm
Well,
So I'm still working on it.
I think you're definitely an inspiration. Just watching you talk and having this self-awareness. You have, my therapist used to tell me all the time, "You're very self-aware." I'm like, "Well, I
Yeah.
sit with my own thoughts a lot." Um, but,
Right.
you clearly have a serious self-awareness, and there's a lot of people walking around who don't, right?
Well,
So
yeah, that's true.
yeah, and you seem to understand how you said there's I forget how you said it. I think you said it's purpose in the pain or make your pain into a purpose.
Yes.
So it's like you went through
Yeah.
these things, but it has come full circle where there like you said, there was a reason for it, and now you can use it to be an advocate and to be a mother, and to make sure that others don't have to endure what you went through. So,
Yeah.
that's definitely an inspiration. Um,
Oh, well, thank you.
so, speaking about motherhood, and I just had a podcast release with a friend of mine who's in a creative pivot, that she kind of like stopped doing creative things because she became a mother and that was like her focus.
Mm,
And we talked about um, reparenting, right? Because
mm,
she said in the process of like parenting her son, she's reparenting herself, right? So is that
yeah.
something that you've experienced because of your tumultuous childhood? How does that affect how you are a mother, how you mother?
Well, there's a couple of things with that. One, it made me like way more grateful for some of the things my mom did. So I had more compassion for her for some things, especially
Mhm.
again, she was a single mom. But two, like for me, there's some things that she did, I don't wanna say allow, but there were some things that happened where, like, I would never let my daughters do that. Like, if I as far as, like, reparenting myself, there's a lot of realizations that I've come to where they're either like, "Oh my god, my mom did this on her own," or it's like, "Oh my god," like I said, I would not ever let my daughters go through that. And I think, the biggest thing I can say with that, again, is the whole dad thing. I didn't grow up with a dad. I didn't see the need to have one. To me, like, legitimately, I'm not lying. I was like, every dad out there is thinks inappropriate things about their kids. Like, there's no way there's men out there that, and again, I don't think like this anymore, but there's no way that there's men out there that are genuinely loving and genuinely don't wanna touch their kids. As horrible as it sounds, it's just how I grew up. And with my husband, I think he helped me reparent myself and reprogram my thinking and again, realize things that when you grow up thinking things are normal, and then you have someone that actually loves you and not only loves you, but, like, fought to love you because he fought to get in here. I was like, I wanna be single. I don't," and he's telling me these things that you're this and you're that and you're this and things you don't see in yourself. It definitely helps me to be a better parent. Um, like, as far as I don't know if it's so much reparenting myself but more so just, like, realizing things, and once you realize these things, you are able to work on them.
Yeah, and
You
kind
know,
of you
you so
reframe your perception. Because I've had the same
yeah.
situation where things that I thought were normal, like, I would have conversations with people, and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry you had to go through that." And I'm like, "That was a bad thing?"
What?
Like, no,
Yeah.
now I'm like, "Oh, let me go unpack some stuff." But,
Oh,
I
you're
mean,
like,
there's
"Okay, this is something
definitely
else."
been a lot that I've had to reframe, in order to not hold any resentment for certain things that happened in my childhood, or, things that happened just in my younger days in general. Resentment, toward others, resentment toward myself. I would blame myself for a lot of things as well. Um, and, as I mature and, start to really understand life, this human
Yeah.
experience, um, I've learned to reframe how I look back at certain things and,
Yeah.
not to the point of my own detriment of, like, letting it pull me back down, but rather using it as a stone to lift me up to
Ye
something better, right? Um
yeah. And actually, now as you're saying reframing things, my mom I'm such an anxious person, I get it from her, and I see that now. Like, she was afraid for me to not excel, but it was always, "Careful, careful, oh, wait, you know, you don't wanna move out," and,
Yeah.
and that, I think with especially with my oldest daughter, it was a lot of I'm gonna give a very simple explanation that I read somewhere, and it's like, "Okay, a kid's on the jungle gym, don't just tell them careful, and don't do it. Tell them, make sure you grab this bar and put
Yes.
your foot on that bar." And that now that you're saying it, my anxiety, like, "Oh, it's been eating away at me," but I know a lot of it came from that. And when my oldest, was seeing a therapist, I had to see one too, and at the end, like, just, Cliff's notes, and the therapist told because my daughter at the time wanted to move to Dallas, she told me to tell her, "You can do it. You can do it." But that to me was like, "What? Like, send my 19-year-old to Dallas? Like, you don't do that." But she's like, "Just let her know that you believe in her, that she can do it, even if
Mhm.
it's something that scares you, don't put that on her." And that is something that now that you're saying it, I've had to reframe where it's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go ahead,"
Mhm.
And now thinking about it, hi, my poor mom. Growing up, we didn't talk about, like, periods. Girl, I did not learn about stuff like that. So with my daughters, like, she just turned 11, but at 10, we talked about it, and I have a little something in her hopefully when she's 20 and sees this, she doesn't get mad at me, but I have something in her backpack because she hasn't started it yet. It's called a period pack. It's a
Mhm.
just in case this happens, you are prepared. There's extra chonies, that's underwear. There's, for anyone that doesn't understand, there's extra chonies, there's pads, there's wipes, and that is something that my mom, oh my, like, It was almost like that movie Carrie, like if you got your period, no, we don't talk about it, you know? Or like even having sex, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like it's going to happen. Don't just say don't do it. It's not going to like don't just shut your eyes to it.
Mhm.
Talk about it. And that is something that I had to reframe myself because as uncomfortable as it is, I wish I had someone that I could go to talk or that talked to me about it before it happened and I wasn't, doing dumb like
Girl,
learning from
same.
my yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, so that's when you said reframe, it clicked. Yeah.
So, what is, if someone is listening to or watching this episode and they are in a phase where they wanna feel less alone, what is a piece of advice that you can give to them?
If they wanna feel less alone. I mean, I'm Jewish, but I'm not religious. I
Mhm.
tell people I'm Jewish. I think that I'm very science-based. I actually have a degree in biology, so it was very hard for me to get spiritual in any capacity. I read a book. I think it's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. So
Mm,
if one of the reasons you feel alone and you can't get spiritual or you can't speak to someone higher is because you're too evidence-based or science-based, I was there. That book changed my mind because even if you don't believe like in the spiritual realm, like the energies that are around you, it's hard to deny the fact that your thoughts can be heard or influenced by something else. So that actually helped me that helped me feel not so alone. If you feel alone as far as like anything that we've talked about today, like motherhood and anxiety, or you feel like you're the only one that's worrying about your kid getting sick to the point where it's like you have panic attacks, or if you had an abusive childhood and you don't think that it's something that you should talk about or it's too much time has passed, that's a long one. You're not alone. That was me. There are people out there that are going through the same thing. You can speak to Jesus, God, Buddha, whatever you want to call him, it doesn't have to even have a name. Like, I think that helped a lot.
mhm,
Journaling helped a lot. For me, listening to podcast, like there's something online for everything. Like,
mhm,
there's podcasts and books and things that you can listen to, and as you listen to them, like they'll say something. I'm like, hey, it's like they're in my head. And I mean, I can say you're not alone till I'm red in the face. When I heard that years ago, like I didn't believe it, but
mhm,
it's true. When I was younger, I did not think that there was people that cared about me that didn't know me. But now in the position I am with guardians, I mean, I'll drive down a neighborhood and I'll think about like what kid is going through some shit in there. Like I wish I could help them.
mhm,
So if you just need one person in your life that you can talk to, just one. There's something that I learned in nationals. It's called the ACEs score. I don't remember what it stands for, but the main thing I took away from that is if you have one person that you can talk to, whether it's a teacher, a neighbor, make sure it's not some stranger on the internet. Okay, that's
mhm,
unless you know who they are, you can actually lower the risk of your chances for self-harm behaviors, being incarcerated, different things like that. And if you can't find that person, then try to be that person for someone else. And that will make you feel less alone.
mm,
Volunteering and being there for other people, a soup kitchen, going to 5Ks. There's a lot, there's always I guess because I do the nonprofit programming, they're always having 5Ks for different
mhm,
MS or cancer or whatever it is, but volunteering can really help you feel less alone, being a big brother, big sister. Even if you don't feel like like you're someone that they should look up to. If you can have a good time taking a kid bowling, then you're good. Like I think big brothers, big sisters like twice a month. So that helped me feel less lonely was definitely the volunteer work.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you said that because I just volunteered at the, El Paso Marathon, and,
Oh, yes.
the spot that I had signed up for, I couldn't find it, so they're just like, well, just go over here," and then I was, grabbing medals to hand out, and this woman grabbed me, she was like, "Did you just get
Yeah.
here?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Come with me," and she takes me to the front, and to alleviate the girl who was the finish line greeter. So she was like, stand right here
Oh, how
and cheer people on
cool.
as they come in and direct them to where they get their medals. I was like, oh, okay. So I had to like stand there for 3 hours and watching those people come across the finish line. It was so inspiring. It definitely let me know that I will never run a marathon because they were definitely in a lot of
Mm,
pain. But watching like
yeah.
their families being there, their family and friends like waiting with signs to greet them and hyping them up, or just even strangers hyping up people who were coming across who didn't have anybody out there to there was a team of people out there to
Yeah.
greet them. But just seeing like the sense of accomplishment on their faces and stuff that made me feel like I was happy that I chose to volunteer and be there for that because, like you said, you get a sense of community when you get to
Ye
volunteer.
Volunteering is one of the most selfish things you can do because it makes you feel so good.
Mhm.
And was that the one that was February 8th?
No, it was just,
The El Paso?
it was, this past weekend. It was yesterday. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Um
Okay. Well, we have one coming up too for Community Partners of El Paso, the one that I told you that I first started. So
Mhm.
I might get you to hold some signs or something if you
Oh,
want.
yeah. Yeah, if I'm around, I'll
Okay.
definitely come out there and hold some signs, hand out some water or whatever. I love doing
That's right. You
volunteer
travel
work.
a
I was
lot.
very much a huge, volunteer, as when I was younger. I did a lot of, like, advocacy work with my church and, feeding the
Mm,
homeless and things like that, and youth mentorship. So that's been a way for me to get to know more people in El Paso is going out
yeah.
to, events like that. So, but
Yeah. And even go ahead. Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
Even for people that they maybe don't wanna be like the face or forefront of volunteering, like, just reach whatever you feel you're drawn to, whether it's helping animals or veterans or whatever, like, reach out to them and be like, "Hey, I wanna volunteer, but I don't wanna be so forward." Like, just reach out, like, send them a message on Instagram. They'll be happy to have you volunteer.
Yes. But
Mhm.
I appreciate you, Amber. Thank you for your time
Mhm.
today. Thank you for this conversation. And for those who are listening and watching, definitely check out Amber Banda on 96.3 KH Country. Follow her on Instagram, on socials. All that information will be in the description.
Ah, perfect. Well, Charvon, thank you for having me on. I'm honored that you wanted me as your guest. And to whoever listened to this, thank you. You can reach me. You can contact me. I'm an open book. Like she said, follow me on social media. And thank you.
Thanks, Amber.
Life doesn't always stay in perfect focus. There's magic in the blur we can't ignore. Every shadow, every highlight softly shows us who we are and who we're reaching for. When the world feels out of frame, every thought, every fear, every revelation, I find my way through the quiet flame, light and life in all the limitations.